Fun fact, you are made up of 39 trillion microbes. Microbes are living organisms that we need to feed. And how do we feed them? How do we nourish them? And how do we make them thrive? Fiber. I'm going to teach you all about what is fiber, how does it work, how do we implement it, and I'm going to give you some secret weapons to foods that are kind of being demonized that shouldn't be, that are going to push your health into another level because the amount of fiber in them is so amazing. My name is Nicole Kale, board certified holistic nutritionist, and today's episode is titled Fiber, a superfood that will transform your health. What is fiber? First of all, let's talk about fiber. Fiber is just a biochemically complex nutrient that feeds your microbes. That's it. So think of it as a form of rocket fuel that is going to feed all of those good living organisms in your microbiome. And I think you know of microbiome because it's kind of a buzzword today and it's talked about quite a bit. But we're missing some really important and very basic understanding about how do I feed my microbiome? How do I make my microbes work for me and help create them in an environment that's thriving? How do I properly nourish them? The first thing that people think about when we're looking at microbiome is probiotics, and I think we're starting to bring a little bit more attention by talking about prebiotics. But you think, I'm gonna get a probiotic and that's going to change my gut health. The catch here is it's not. It's not. And it can help in instances, but the number one way that you can make your microbiome like boom, super healthy is through fiber. So I want to bring attention to fiber. I want to teach you about it. I want you to understand that fiber is your BFF. It is a secret weapon that I want you to consume every single day because it will transform your health. And I'm not into fads and like saying something that's catchy. No. I truly want to give you the knowledge so you understand, also backed up by science, not bias, how important fiber is to your health. So fiber, we've talked about, it's just a biochemically complex compound, basically. And the cool thing about fiber is we need it for so many mechanisms in the body, and we don't realize that, but fiber is a superfood, not just to our microbiome, but to what transforms in your microbiome when you eat fiber. And the way that we understand this is we think that our gut health, if we eat prebiotics, if we take probiotics, we're gonna be golden. But we have to have fiber. Fiber is more important than any of those things. And so where do we get fiber? How do we get fiber? The first thing is, I'm gonna say something and I want you to pause for a second because this food is being highly demonized in the diet and wellness world. And it's being demonized because science can be secular at times. And what's happening is something like, for example, the food that's being demonized, whole grains and beans, we're starting to see this push like you can't eat beans because of lectins. You can't eat whole grains because of gluten. And I want to bring attention to something. There are instances, if you are diagnosed with celiac disease, yes, there is an issue with gluten. But the reality is much of the science that's talking about lectins is secular. And what that means is they are basically taking a form of a lectin, like a megadose of a lectin, doing something with their test tube and spitting it into research. But guess what? You're not a test tube. You're human with a heartbeat. And beans and whole grains are extremely nutritious if prepared correctly and eaten in moderation. The key is always balance. Fiber is not only an important fuel to your microbes, but those microbes that it feeds create something called short-chain fatty acids. And when we're looking at endocrine health, brain health, we need to make sure that we are making short-chain fatty acids. You've probably heard of these short-chain fatty acids. We've got butyrate, acetate, and propionate. Cool thing is, butyrate actually crosses the blood-brain barrier. These short-chain fatty acids that your microbes make from consuming fiber are detrimental to your health. And so how many grams of fiber should you eat per day? Well, I like to err on a more aggressive side, but the recommended daily amount that you'll see pretty standard across the board is 25 grams for women and 30 grams for men. Here's the catch. How do you add fiber to your day without discomfort? I think that's the big thing. So low and slow is the motto here. And I want to bring attention to something too. What happens is, let's say that you have been hyper isolating specific food groups like beans, like lentils, like maybe some food, like some plants, right? And maybe whole grains, like you've completely eliminated those out of your diet. We don't want you tonight, after you end this, to just jump on and be like, I'm eating 2 cups of beans, I'm gonna eat a couple slices of whole grain bread, a cup of oatmeal. We have to be really careful about reintroduction. And here's why. If you have taken away tons of stuff, there are enzymes, like we need enzymes. There's this whole biochemical process I won't bore you with that goes on to process fiber and other micro and macronutrients. But for the sake of this, let's keep it on fiber. And when you remove foods for a long period of time, you're no longer going to produce the enzymes necessary to break those foods down, to process fiber. And so there is discomfort with reintroduction. And so what that means is you have to start low and slow. More is not better. A little bit at a time is better when we're talking about adding fiber into your diet. And what that can look like is if you haven't eaten beans in years or you haven't had whole grains, it can be starting with a 1/4 cup of beans a day and making sure that you don't eat it with fat. You want to just try to eat it by itself, give your body a little bit of time, and you have to be okay with some discomfort. There might be some bloating, there might be a stomach ache, you might experience fatigue. Like there are many different symptoms that can occur when you are introducing fiber back into your diet. And here's the catch. With fiber, you'll see things like, what's that bar? A fiber bar or Metamucil or whatever it may be. And here's the catch. With fiber, there is so many different types of fiber. So I don't fuss on the grams of fiber as much as I'm going to fuss on plant diversity. You will easily hit 25 plus grams of fiber per day as long as you are eating 15 to 20 different fruits and veggies. And that sounds like a lot, and you've probably heard me talk about this several times, but I cannot stress it enough. Plant diversity is the secret weapon to so many areas of micronutrients that our body needs. And fiber is pretty much in almost every plant. And so it's an easy way for you to get your daily fiber without having to track it. And the key here is, can you imagine if I just made you eat the same exact foods every single day? There's gonna be a point where your body's like, I've already exhausted this, like I'm tired of it, and you are going to get sick of it. The same thing happens for your microbes. They want diversification. They don't want the same song and dance. They're gonna pull a little bit. Say you eat an eggplant, cilantro, potato, a little bit of whole grain, and you add a little bit of beans. That is a symposium of beautiful nutrition for your microbes. And you do that through eating a variety of foods. So just remember, there's not gonna be like one bar or a probiotic or something specific that you're gonna take that's gonna feed those microbes. It's what you do collectively and consistently that is gonna really make the change in your health. So I wanna recap. What is fiber? It's just a biochemical, like it's a very strong nutrient is what I want to say. Like it's strong, it's tough, it's fibrous, and it is a superfood for your microbes. How many grams should you eat? Let's start at 25 if you're a woman and 30 if you are male. How do you get it into your day when you haven't had it in a long time, or how to start consuming foods that contain good fiber that you may have isolated because you had fear of this food or you've heard it was bad? So let's use beans for example. Start with a 1/4 cup a day, low and slow. Last thing, you want to get diversity in your diet. That is the goal. So let's shoot for 10 to 15 different colors of veggies per day. If you make these changes, you will see tremendous improvement over about 4 to 6 weeks. But remember to be patient with the process. It doesn't happen overnight. And I want to make sure that you think for yourself. When you're reading about fiber, when you're reading about diets, I don't want you to instantly remove a food because you think it's bad. Reach out to me, ask me. We are a community here to serve you. I want to remove the bias off of food, and instead I want to give you knowledge, education, science, not emotion. I want to give you all the data that actually backs up when a bean is good or a bean could be bad. I want you to understand that. It's important to have that independent knowledge so you gain the wisdom so you can have that in your day. So every single time you make a decision about fiber or about a food, it's not based off of what some secular research paper said and you heard somebody else regurgitate the information. I want you to have the knowledge, because with knowledge comes tremendous power. And when it comes to your health, you have to be your best CEO. Only you are going to be able to know what your biology and your biochemistry needs are. So let's do this. Let's add fiber, team beans, whole grains. Let's get it done. I want to hear all about it. Tell me your fiber stories. Ask me if you have any questions. DM me, shoot me a message. This week, I'm going to be sending out an email at the end of the week that will discuss this, but I will also provide you with fiber cheat sheets and some recipes that will make sure that we get plant diversification in and an awesome amount of fiber. You can do this. I believe in you. Let's go.